In May 2021, the serene suburban neighborhood of Kefisia in Athens, Greece, was rocked by a crime that would capture international headlines and chill the hearts of many. The story of Caroline Crouch, a 20-year-old British-Greek woman, and her husband Babis Anagnostopoulos, initially seemed like a tragedy of violent crime. Yet, as the investigation unfolded, it revealed a darker narrative of deception, betrayal, and premeditated murder. Caroline Crouch was known for her radiant smile and lively personality. A British national who had moved to Greece, Caroline lived a seemingly perfect life with her husband Babis Anagnostopoulos and their newborn daughter. To their friends and family, the young family appeared to be the epitome of domestic bliss. They frequently shared pictures on social media that showcased their happy moments, picturesque vacations, and the joys of parenthood. But behind this facade lay a troubled and increasingly toxic relationship. Caroline and Babis had met in Greece, and their love story seemed straight out of a fairy tale. However, beneath the surface, their relationship was fraught with tension and secrets. Caroline's friends had occasionally noticed signs of strain, but they attributed it to the stresses of new parenthood. Unbeknownst to them, Babis was hiding a dangerous double life. On the evening of May 11, 2021, the Crouch Anagnostopoulos household was engulfed in a night of terror. Babis described how intruders had broken into their home, tied him up, and suffocated Caroline while their infant daughter lay just feet away. For days, he portrayed himself as a devastated husband, cooperating with the police and holding his baby during Caroline's emotional funeral. He became a symbol of tragic loss, garnering widespread sympathy. However, as the investigation progressed, cracks began to appear in Babis' carefully constructed story. His distressing account was filled with dramatic details of the supposed struggle and violence. Babis portrayed himself as a helpless victim, desperately trying to protect his family from the intruders.
Τέρας, Τίνος, θα σ' απίσει φυλακή ρε καριόλι! Τίνος, θα σ' απίσει στη φυλακή, αλήτη!
The initial response from the authorities was one of sympathy and urgency. The police launched a full-scale investigation, canvassing the neighborhood and searching for any leads that could lead to the capture of the supposed perpetrators. Caroline's murder was met with shock and outrage, and the community rallied around Babis, offering their support and condolences. As the days passed, however, cracks began to appear in Babis' story. The turning point came when forensic evidence started contradicting Babis' account. Data from his smartwatch showed that he had been moving during the time he claimed to be tied up. Additionally, there were no signs of forced entry into the house, and the scene appeared to have been staged to look like a robbery. As detectives dug deeper, it became clear that Babis was hiding something much darker than a robbery gone wrong. Surveillance footage from nearby cameras provided additional clues. The footage revealed that there were no signs of strangers approaching or leaving the property around the time of the alleged home invasion. This discrepancy, coupled with Babis' increasingly inconsistent statements, led investigators to suspect that the crime might not have been as it seemed. Another turning point in the investigation came when Babis was asked to undergo a polygraph test. His failure to pass the test, combined with further evidence discrepancies, led authorities to intensify their scrutiny of him. The facade of a grieving husband began to crumble as more damning evidence emerged. The breakthrough in the case came when Babis Anagnostopoulos confessed to the crime. The confession was both shocking and chilling. Babis admitted that he had orchestrated the murder of his wife, staging the scene to look like a botched robbery. The revelation was a blow to everyone who had believed his version of events, and it sent shockwaves through the community. Babis' motives were as disturbing as the crime itself. He had been secretly involved in an extramarital affair, and his financial troubles had pushed him to a desperate state. Caroline, who had been the victim of his greed and deceit, had unknowingly become a pawn in his twisted plan. Babis' confession detailed how he had meticulously planned the murder, intending to escape with a clean slate and start a new life. Investigators revealed the grim details of the crime scene. Caroline had been killed in a brutal and deliberate manner. The nature of her injuries and the state of the crime scene suggested a high degree of premeditation and malice. The calculated brutality of the murder was a stark contrast to the image of a loving family that Babis had portrayed. The forensic evidence painted a picture of a meticulously planned crime. Babis had carefully staged the scene to mislead investigators, but the details of his plan began to unravel under scrutiny. The physical evidence, combined with his own admissions, provided a clear picture of his guilt. As the trial unfolded, the courtroom was filled with an air of grim fascination. The prosecution laid out the evidence against Babis, including his confession and the forensic details of the crime. The defense attempted to argue for mitigating circumstances, but the overwhelming evidence of Babis's premeditation and cruelty made it difficult to refute the charges.
Και ψάχνουν. Αυτό ξέρω, είναι κάθε με συνέχεια σε επικοινωνία μαζί μου όσο έχω μπορέσει να τους βοηθήσω. Αν υπάρχει κάποιος που μπορεί να τους βρει.
The trial was a harrowing experience for Caroline's family and friends. They were forced to confront the brutal reality of her death and the betrayal of someone they had once trusted. The public's reaction was one of outrage and disbelief, as the true nature of the crime became clear. Babis Anagnostopoulos was ultimately found guilty of Caroline's murder. In 2022, he received a life sentence for the murder of Caroline Crouch, along with an additional 11 years and 6 months, and a total of €21,000 for the other charges, which included theft and animal abuse. The verdict brought a sense of justice but could not undo the profound tragedy of her death. The case highlighted the dangers that can lurk behind the facade of a seemingly perfect life and the lengths to which some individuals will go to conceal their true nature. As the case was solved by the officials, some aspects remain unanswered. For instance, the involvement of Babis's extramarital affair in the murder is still unclear. The identity of the woman involved and her potential knowledge of Babis's plans were never fully revealed. Speculation continues about whether she played any role in the crime or if she was merely a pawn in Babis's scheme.